Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of What the Hell Just Happened, where we talk about all things healthcare, community, business, and life. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, and everything in between. We are so fortunate to have on a variety of guests, way smarter than we are, to share their industry and life expertise, laugh along the way. Today is no different. I love reoccurring guests. This is your third time on the show. We have Matt Chang. A lot of cool stuff. We can add the show notes from the previous episodes. We've talked about Chang Robotics, Robotics, all types of random stuff, I would say, right?
Yeah, robots and jokes.
Robots and jokes.
That's what I'm here for.
That's good, actually. Robots and jokes. That's what we're calling this episode. Yeah. Only we're not talking about robots and jokes.
What are we doing today?
I thought we were just winging it.
Okay.
What are we going to do?
We have
today?
an author in the house.
We do have. Now you're an author. That's right. We're introducing you as an author.
Yeah.
You just wrote a book. Do you remember doing that?
I do. I remember writing it. Yeah. I don't remember what I wrote, but yeah.
Matt Chang, author of Risk Taking is Biblical, What the Bible Tells Us About Pursuing Kingdom Building. Cool title, cool topic. I would assume we talk about Jesus a little bit. So if you get weirded out by Jesus, you probably need to listen more. Is that fair?
That is fair. Yeah.
Healthy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to get weird?
Let's do it.
Why'd you write a book?
I think, part of my story, I do a lot of marketplace ministry, and like all messages, I found a scalability issue. So I teach, about once a year at LifeWork Leadership at various local kind of Christian and nonprofit things.
Great organization.
Yeah. Shout out LifeWork. And there was a scalability issue. People that heard me present on a topic would come find me much later and say, hey, I remember when you talked about that and it was impactful, and here's what I did with it. The problem is my message is reaching one room, maybe a podcast to an audience, but it's reaching one set of people one time. And I said, okay, I really just need to have the discipline to sit down, consolidate all my thoughts, organize it into a process. That's the engineer brain.
Yeah.
So that anybody can follow it. And that's what the book is about, is laying out a formulaic approach for any person that wants to go take a big risk to do that and do it in accordance with what the Bible teaches.
You're a man of faith. You talk about it openly. We'll talk about LifeWork Leadership, I'm sure, some more. That's important for your organization, right? When you hire staff, when you're working with a client, do you take that into account?
Well, yes and no. So we don't hire based on if somebody's Christian.
Correct. The HR folks, that's not how I meant to
clarify.
We did get our first HR policy this year. Milestone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a requirement. It's but as a company, both in our organizing documents and then from a leadership perspective, we are a Christian business. And so once we took that on and we started saying, hey, we are a Christian company, then we had to figure out what that meant. And then we had to start living it out.
Yep.
So for me, one of the reasons I'll say something publicly is for accountability. I'll tell you guys because I need you to hold me accountable. If you ever see me not acting in accordance with what I've said, we stand for. So we put it openly on our website. Chang Robotics is a Christian company with a biblical worldview. That's how it starts. And then we unpack that on the website. Why? For both our future employees and our future customers to read about.
I think that's great. And I have to emphasize, you're not hiring based off of whether or not someone is Christian. Let's stamp that in there. But putting it on your website, sharing that, do you think that's helped business? Do you think that's helped find the right employees? I do for our organization. And it also deters potential prospects or clients or hires that maybe don't necessarily align with our organization.
Yeah. I mean, for me, business is not about money. We need a basic amount of money to pay the bills, right? Like any company. But it's not about money. It's about, we have one lifetime. We need to be enjoying the people that we work with. We need to be a family.
Amen.
We need to have our customers included in that family. And so, yeah, if there was a prospective customer or employee that was turned off by it, then, it's good that we filtered that out up front.
You got something?
Yeah. Do you have any testimonies of employees that maybe came in with zero religion in life and then just you guys rubbed off on them?
Oh, totally, man. We're an engineering company. So, yeah, I mean, the number one group, I would say the number 1 and 2 groups, I don't know how they rank, that don't need Jesus are scientists and engineers. They have it all figured out. They have salaries. They're very calculated. They don't need anything. And I think, as you guys know, one of the top reasons that you find faith is because you're in a time of need. So if you're the type of person that lives that life of comfort, calculated, everything is forecasted, you don't need Jesus. You're not hungry.
I've
You're
got
not
it
without
figured
shelter.
out. I'm
That's right.
good. Yep.
Yep, I figure things out for a living. That's my job, right? And so yeah, we've had intense atheist team members that then became agnostic. So we went from there is no God to, well, there could be something out there and we don't know what it is, to then coming to us in times of need and saying, hey, will you pray for me? And so that is an example of marketplace ministry, right? Is
Yep.
getting folks that, really never had an interest in faith or believing in God, but then they find themselves in a time of need. Could be a sick family member, could be a crisis in the house, and they're like, hey, will you pray for me? And it's such an amazing opportunity. And our answer is, of course,
Yeah.
right now. Let's do it right now. And so when people ask me for prayer requests, which I'm sure you guys get a lot too, my answer is always, I am praying for you now via text. And then I write back, we just finished praying for you. Here's who was there, and here's what we prayed for. Right? So that it's not this, hey, I will pray for you, like this abstract idea.
Hey, I got it. And then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good policy. I don't know. We'll talk one more thing about life work. Like I stumbled into the program, I keep saying like God keeps knocking on my door. When are you going to open the door and let God in? How I went through the program, it changed my life. 18 months ago, I would never have this conversation. I would have quickly pivoted to another topic. So if nothing else, that's one of the biggest things I took out of life work leadership. Great organization. Check it out. Tammy was on here a couple weeks ago. Let's go to the book. So you've been sitting on this for years. You've been thinking about it. Or one day you said, you know what, I'm writing a book.
Yeah, I was in preparation. I teach probably one class a semester at Jacksonville University. I'll occasionally do guest lectures at Georgia Tech or, at Northwestern University. So I've been kind of in this adjunct professor mode for a long time. And then, I do guest talks at LifeWork that I went through in 2018, similar impact on me. Like it really taught me what my principles and convictions were.
What year you said?
2018.
Okay.
Yeah. And so these ideas have been getting perfected as I present them publicly. And then I write about them for certain people. I might write a white paper or an opinion. And it was really probably 2 years ago that I got approached by several book writers who had heard me speaking, and they said, I want to write your book. And I thought it was super weird, but I'm a pattern recognition guy. If you say something once to me, I'm like, okay, that's weird. Say it twice, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Right? And if it happens 3 times, I'm like, there's a clear
There's
pattern
something here.
And so I was getting approached by people that publish books, and they were saying, I want to write your book. Now the problem is, how do you choose? Who's going to help you write the book? Right. And I had help. So I'm going to be the first to tell you I had to help. I didn't self-publish. And I think this is a very professional book. Amazon #1 bestseller.
Shout out.
What?
Yeah, exactly. First book.
Healthy. Yeah.
Well, you don't do that by doing it yourself if you're inexperienced,
Yeah.
right? So now I had to choose. And it was on my mind for a year. Okay, I need to write a book. I'm not sure what it's going to be about. How bold am I going on business? How bold am I going on faith? Is it just my story? That doesn't seem humble. It seems kind of egotistical. So how am I going to package this book? And then I had a low offer. I had a lady that said, hey, I'll do it. And she had published, probably a dozen books. So I said, well, give me one. Give me one of your books. And I flipped through it. And I was like, it's nice. That is a book. It has a cover and a back, but that's not the vibe. That's not the vibe.
That is, in fact, a book.
Yeah. It has words and it has a cover and a back.
Goodness.
And then I had kind of the ultimate, which is Forbes. And they do this book publishing thing for entrepreneurs and CEOs. And they came after me and they're like, we're going to guarantee you New York Times, bestseller, which, by the way, is a paid thing.
Everything is paid.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that's organic.
Yeah.
If you're Malcolm Gladwell, it probably is, right? But if you're anyone else, you're paying to be on the list.
This is what it's going to cost. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Correct.
And that was very expensive. You could buy a modest house for the Forbes price, right? And I was like, okay, so I've got
In
the
what
range.
state, though? Because a modest house in Florida versus a modest house in another state. Yeah.
It would be not in our county right now.
Okay. Got it. Understood.
You'd have to get out to the next county
Yeah.
from where we're in Jacksonville. So anyway, so I had the range. and I saw the high quality product, and I saw the kind of entry price product, and I was like, okay, this is not it. And then there was this guy that I follow on Twitter who has written 100 books, 50 Amazon bestsellers, and he just threw up one of those links that he probably does 2 or 3 times a year, and he said, I'm looking for my next project, grab a spot. So I just hopped on as soon as I could. He probably had 5 open calendar slots. His name's Joshua Lysek.
Shout
out. We love
Shout out.
outs.
Yep. Follow him on X. And I thought, well, this is perfect because he'd written several very influential books I'd read. He's the editor for Scott Adams,
Okay.
the Dilbert comic, who's got like 3 New York Times bestsellers under his belt. So I thought, well, geez, this is a home run swing. If I could get this guy, I think I could actually get the book done. The challenge we all have as entrepreneurs is time, right? It's like, how on earth am I going to set aside time? I'm not going to stay up late writing this thing like homework. I did that when I got my MBA, worked all night till midnight.
That was enough,
every day.
yeah.
So I jumped on his calendar, and then he immediately threw up a bunch of roadblocks. And he said, if to show up to my meeting, you have to first read my book about how to write a book.
He made the barrier to entry more difficult.
That's right.
This is going to pivot
That's
into another
smart,
conversation.
yeah.
Keep telling the story. This is
Yeah.
great.
So he said, you gotta read my book. So I had to go on Amazon and buy his book about how to write a book. And then I read it and I was like, oh, now I know how to write a book. And not just a book, but to make it, entertaining.
We're trying to get better at mentioning. So Matt Chang, we're introducing him as an author. His book, Risk Taking is Biblical, What the Bible Tells Us About Pursuing Kingdom Building. We'll dive into the book in a minute, but sharing your story on this process of writing a book.
Yeah.
So you had
engineer
Forbes
brain.
cost a small house. You had this lady who I'm sure was sweet and has written a book with a cover and words. And this gentleman that sounds like made it more difficult for you to go through the process.
Yeah. And that's what I needed, because if I was going to commit the time, then I needed to be focused and know exactly what I was going to do and basically get it right the first time.
Yeah.
Right. This is not, I know several guys that have written books and then rewrote them because they just couldn't get it to work. And so as I read his book to have the meeting, then, and he pushed you out like 3 weeks so that you had time to do the homework. And I thought, okay, it clicked. Now I know how to do it. All right. And he gave me a step-by-step guide. And I was reading his book. I was like, that's my book. That's my book. I want to do a step-by-step guide. I just don't want to do it on writing a book. I want to do it on what we landed on, which is kingdom building. What are the risks that a person can take to build God's kingdom? And you get one lifetime. You have one set of talents. We don't know how long we're here.
Yep.
How do we make it count? Right. And so
I love that.
So
That's a clip right there for sure.
yeah. So we got through the book in 4 months, and I had a weekly coaching call with him, 12 chapters, 4 months. And that's including the weeks when I was too busy to meet with him and might be traveling. So we just crushed 1 chapter per week for a total of 12 chapters. The hardest chapter is your first. That's the hook.
Yep.
If Amazon will give you the first chapter free if you're looking to preview a book. So you got to make it work in the first chapter.
Catch the attention.
That's right. And then as they get to the end of chapter 1, they're like, well, I got to see chapter 2. Okay, well, now you got to buy the book, right? So that was a process he helped me go through. And when we would have our coaching sessions, he would really kind of focus me on like, well, that was a great story. Put that in the parking lot. That sounds like a chapter 7 thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is not the What the Health Just Happened podcast. I got to be focused. So that was
We've got
very
a gift
useful.
of getting people not focused. That might be our secret
loosen
talent.
them up.
That's right. So it was really useful to have him help me walk through. The second part is hard. Part after the first chapter is your outline. It's just like if you're doing a research project back in college.
I didn't do many of those. Just to let you know, I was not
Yeah.
a good college student, but
I wasn't a great college student either, but I did go to a hard college, so we had to at times show discipline. So that was it. The next part is the outline, and that's your kind of guide. It's like I got to stay within this outline. I got to get from A to Z. Right? If I miss a letter, then it's not the alphabet. So then there's also some rules like, okay, don't write an 800-page book. Right? Nobody wants to hear that.
yeah,
You got to be able to crush this thing on an airplane or on a weekend. At
How many
when
pages?
you're reading. It's 177 pages.
177
Yeah, there we go.
pages. That's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, your band is like 150 to 200. That's a book. If it's shorter than that, it's a pamphlet.
Yep.
And if it's longer than that, it's a memoir. And I don't deserve a memoir.
Let's pivot to risk taking prior to why it's biblical. I would say you're a risk taker. Is that a fair assumption?
I have a high risk personality.
People, we know our people, right? Would you consider yourself a risk taker?
I think so.
I would
of.
for sure. Most entrepreneurs, I think, have some risk taking DNA in their system.
Or habit.
Correct. Yeah. Healthy or not healthy? Maybe not healthy.
Yeah.
Through your professional career, maybe personal too, what are some big risks you've taken you think directly changed your life?
I mean, it started as soon as I came out of college is when my risk taking really started. I remember showing up here in Jacksonville, first day on the job. I got invited to a meeting after lunch. So at lunch, I got invited to the landing, if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Throwback.
Remember? Yeah.
Shout out landing.
And
We're dating ourselves, by the way.
that's right. There's an iconic Jacksonville structure that no longer exists for the audience. And so we went to sushi lunch, and I thought, this is it. I'm in a corporation.
I made it.
Somebody's buying my sushi. This is phenomenal. And of course, during the lunch, I wasn't sure if I was paying, right? So
The
I
whole
ordered-
time you're like, do I have to pay for
I
this?
ordered
Yeah.
very modestly, and then my boss picked up the bill. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have sprung for the sashimi.
Oh my gosh. We've all been there.
Yeah. So I got back, and I'm like, this is so cool. I have a desk, a computer, a cubicle. Somebody buys me sushi. I could get used to this. And my boss said, hey, our first meeting's at 1:30. I'm like, okay. All right. I'm at work, a meeting.
Yeah.
So I go to the meeting, and the first words out of his mouth were, welcome to Jacksonville, Chang. What do you think about California? And then my dumb animal brain held up the surfer symbol. And I went, surf's up, dude. And he goes, great, so it's settled. You're moving there. And then boom.
Jeez.
I mean, I had just landed in Jacksonville, got an apartment with some roommates, and then off to California, packed up all my stuff and drove across the country.
What year was this?
2005.
So 2005. This is a great story. You moved to Jacksonville. I got my sushi. You're going to California.
With a paper map. So part of your audience won't get that, you know? So I had to get several paper maps to make it from Florida to California. And so drove on out there.
You said yes.
I didn't even fight it.
He just
I did
Yes,
this. I did the
surf's
surfer
up.
symbol
How
with my
many
hand.
how many people do you know or worked with would be like just calculating this, overthinking it, probably said no flat out. You held up the shaka, got in a car with a paper map, and drove across the country.
Yeah, the wise thing to do would have been to hold off and evaluate. You could use MapQuest at the time. You could have got on MapQuest and checked it out. Here's the problem. There was no surf. I moved to the largest dairy county in California. So the whole place smelled like cows, which is not a great smell. And the benefit was you were next to the Sierra Nevada mountains. We were right next to the Sequoia Park gate. But you couldn't see the mountains because there's all this haze and smog in the air. So we don't think about that in Florida. We don't have smog.
No.
And then for the first time in my life, I saw smog and I was like, this is gross. I think there's mountains there. Maybe 20 days a year, a wind would come through and you would actually see these beautiful snow-capped mountains right next to you. Every other day, you're just living in a haze.
Yeah.
You couldn't see the traffic light a mile away on the road. It was crazy.
Was it worth the risk?
Well, I made lifelong friends, and I had a great adventure. That was the redneck part of California.
Do they have a redneck part?
Yeah.
north, right?
Yeah, no.
It was Central Valley.
okay, there
Central
you go.
Valley is the redneck part of California. Machine guns, going down whitewater rafting rivers in tubes, just like
Yeah.
redneck stuff.
Yeah.
And so I had a great time. I made really good friends out there. I was so exotic. They're like, "You're from Florida?
You're a Florida. Yeah, that's like
Where
when people.
is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's like near Europe, but the California mind can't go past Nevada, right? It's just
Yeah.
amazing how kind of in their bubble they are." And so that was risk one. It was a year later when I came back kind of victorious. I built the North Face e-commerce distribution center, and so it was a cool project, cool client. It was way before e-commerce was a thing.
It was the beginning of e-commerce.
Yeah, this was when you didn't know what Amazon was.
Yeah.
And so we built this mega e-commerce fulfillment center before that word existed. We just called it Big A distribution center is what we called it, full of
What did the A
conveyors
stand
and
for?
automation.
Ass? Was it Big Ass Distribution Center?
Yeah, you know, it's a radio show, so I didn't know what
Oh,
we
yeah.
could say.
Well, we say
right?
whatever we want at this point.
So, so then I come back, and my company had gotten themselves in a pinch with the federal government, and they had to get into litigation. And they're like, "Hey, do you want to lead the litigation?" Well, I don't think they asked me. They said, "You're going to lead the litigation," and I'm like, "Okay, let's party." So I got some legal
All right.
consultants. Yeah, serve stuff, dude. And the first thing I remember the feds told me, we were expanding the train system in Washington, D.C., the Washington Metro. And there was some big dispute over the contract and, you know, who's supposed to pay for what, typical contractor stuff. And I thought, well, I don't know anything about legal, but I had accidentally broke a union that was trying to picket my site back in California. Because I didn't know what a picket was. I had in my head a fence.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to picket. And I'm like, put up a fence?
Okay.
So I didn't know what a picket was.
Yeah.
So because I didn't know, I was able to negotiate with the union and prevent the picket because I was fearless, right? That's the risk taker.
You were taking risks.
Young and dumb.
Yeah.
Really.
Sometimes they go hand in hand.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now I'm suing the federal government. They said, hey, we have sovereign immunity. You cannot sue us. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like a roadblock. So I did some research, and I found out I can't sue you, but I can adjudicate my case in front of Congress. That's the hierarchy for the federal government. I said, well, I'm not going to sue you. We're just going to take it to committee in Congress. Of course, for these career bureaucrats, they're like, no, I'm on pension, dude. I'm on pension.
Hold on.
You can't. We're not going to we're going to Congress. So the same thing, just kind of fearless, you know, figure it out, build the plane while you fly it. We won that. We got our construction project finished. We expanded the train station to Alexandria. You know, we got, it was great. I had a lot of fun doing it. Most people would hate that work. You think I just went to engineering school. Why am I in litigation with a customer? That doesn't feel good. And it just kept going. You know, the next year they asked me, they said, a room full of guys, it was all guys, who wants to go to Malaysia? Well, at the time, again, this is early Google, right?
That's what I'm going to do every time someone
If you
asks me.
Googled Malaysia, they were having a terrorist outbreak in a part of Malaysia. They were having like a jihadi thing. And so you Google it, and there's this State Department level 4 warning about kidnapping and all this stuff. And this is in the global war on terror, so you're real sensitive to, you know, Islamic extremism. And it was like, I'll go.
I'm doing this every time.
Head straight up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll go. I'm going to surf Cloudbreak.
Is that how you made your decisions? Is based off of where the waves were?
Yeah. Well, dude,
This is good.
Cloudbreak is in Tahiti. It is not close to Malaysia.
Yeah.
But that was the Californians didn't understand where Florida was. When you spin the globe, it's over there. It's on the other side.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was the same thing. And that just kept going through my whole career was this, I will go, right? I will do it. And it just built, I mean, it built a lot of character, built a lot of adventure. And then I had experience that no one else had at a very young age.
I could probably squeeze this in real quick. I think if someone opens a door for you to walk through, go in the door. Raise your hand.
Well,
right?
We may cover this after the break.
And then you step, if you don't like that door, you can walk out the door, or it opens 2 other doors.
I've got a chapter on doors.
Let's say, so Matt Chang, we'll say Chang Robotics, of course. We did 2 episodes on that in Cure Robotics, but today he's an author. Risk-taking is biblical. What the Bible tells us about pursuing kingdom building. Matt Chang, that's what the hell just happened. Welcome back to the second half of What the Hell Just Happened. If you're catching us here on the radio show and you missed the first half, good news is you can catch it under What the Hell Just Happened on your favorite podcast platform. And I keep saying YouTube. I know we're on YouTube out there somewhere, but that's for the guests.
I don't know how YouTube works.
We're, again, guilty.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what. Other than the videos are on there, it's really for the guests to have the content information if they want to share something. But we're on YouTube. Matt Chang, today you're an author. Risk-taking is biblical is the new book. We talked a little bit about your professional career, some risks that you've taken throughout life. We're going to do healthy or not healthy.
Perfect.
Healthy or not healthy, writing a book.
Healthy.
Healthy?
Healthy.
So you didn't stress about it.
I mean, it's work, but we do work,
Okay.
right? That's
No,
what we
it's
do.
good. Healthy or not healthy, pranks in the office.
Very healthy.
Super healthy.
Yes. Yes. Max pranks. HR ladies, max pranks.
Okay, max effort. Healthy or not healthy, having 4 kids.
Very healthy.
I would say healthy. Trey?
Yeah.
I think you have to be healthy to do it, right?
Yes, let's just say that. Yes, it's very healthy.
We've got two experts in the room.
Healthy or not healthy life work leadership?
Extremely healthy. Yeah.
I would agree. Healthy or not healthy saying no?
Depends. Mostly not healthy. I'm a say yes type of guy. I know you can read all this stuff about, hey, say no, get good at saying no, guard your time. I think the more you say no, the less opportunity you're going to experience.
It goes back to risk taking and doors opening. I'm a yes man. I'm trying to say no more. I think the biggest one, do you give your cell phone out to everyone?
A lot of people have my cell phone, but when they text me, my new screen is my admin. I've tried a few and finally found one that sticks, is talk to her, right? So if it's, because people, you get this too, when people walk up to you, they want to do the whole pitch, right? And it's like, hey, I'm doing this and that. And they just dump on you. And you're like, whoa, that was a lot. Okay. And we talked about how my book coach, he screened me before you take the call.
Yep.
I had to do the homework. For people that have a lot to say to me, you got to do the homework. And that might mean waiting 2 or 3 weeks to get on the calendar.
I like that. I need to implement that in some capacity, but I've had to stop giving my cell phone out. Because in a previous life, it was fine. Now, the amount of inbound texts.
Yeah.
We talk about.
It flips fast.
It
go
does.
from, I want everyone to have my number and to have access, to you guys are getting into family time, you're getting into business time, and you have to protect what's important to you.
That's good. The interrupting family time, that's the biggest one. Like, I've set my phone on do not disturb. It's either 7:30 or 8 every night. I'm like, I still look at my phone, right? But golly, don't interrupt my family time. Healthy or not healthy, people asking you for money.
Healthy.
Healthy?
Healthy. I think we're all stewards. We're
Yep.
all investors, whether it's ministry or other businesses or going to Walmart, right? You're investing in something. I think it's healthy.
You do so many things, and I want to put an emphasis on the book, obviously, but you're looking for companies constantly to invest in. You're doing these JVC, board of advisors, which actually I meant to talk about that too. So you would say healthy.
Yeah, I think it's great. You don't get to say yes to everybody. The more people that ask, the more often you say no or not right now. But understanding what your criteria are to invest is a really powerful concept. And so for your amateur person, they'll kind of, if they have a little jingle in their pocket, they're just going to chase after the next shiny idea. You know, for me, it's very formulated. We are up to 9 companies we've invested in with our venture capital company, the Chang Robotics Fund. Chang Robotics itself has 20 companies that we've invested in. And then the Chang family has a few more than that.
Those are risks, right?
Yeah.
When you're taking that risk, how much of that decision is based upon the individuals more so than just maybe what they're doing?
Oh man, I don't look at the deck. You know, so that's the trendy thing. If you want
This
someone
is
to
so
invest,
good.
it's, hey, can I send you my deck? Why? So you can burn up some terabytes? I'm not gonna look at that thing. I want to meet with the person. We're gonna have a meal together. I never write a check unless I share a meal. It could be a breakfast, lunch, whatever. And I want to know how many of the kids they have. So you have
4.
7,
Yeah.
7, 4, 3, and new baby.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
I need to know that, right?
Yep.
And especially for parents, I have a high bias towards investing in parents. Why? Because you got something riding on it, right?
Yeah.
Dad
Yeah.
or mom does not want to go home to the family in defeat. They're going to try harder. They've also learned to be wise with their time because they have kids.
Yeah.
The first kid will test you, man. And then by the time you get to 4, you don't even know what time is. So, you know, that might be tough for these solo founders out there that are single and doing the Silicon Valley thing. I'm like, man, I'm not interested for the most part. I want somebody that has life experience, has a family, and then finally figured out what their risk is that they're willing to take. And I'm going to partner with them to help them get there.
Are you friends with Jason Engelhart?
Yeah.
So he spoke at the board of advisors that was local, and he mentioned it. He goes, I don't care about the pitch deck. Right? Eventually, it matters, but the person you're meeting with and talking to, that carries more weight than most things.
Yeah, it's all about the person.
Yeah.
You know, and then I am an engineer. I'm going to inspect your thing and make sure that it works. The other crazy thing about investing is I do hard tech investing. Our venture fund is around manufacturing tech, and the Chang Robotics investments in general are, tangible items. It's not esoteric software or AI where you can't picture what it is or even verify if it's real. So I need something physical, and one of the things I'll do is I'll go see if it works. If you have something that you want me to invest in, I'll go see it, or you need to bring it to me, one or the other.
You have to be able to hold it in your hand.
Yeah, I want to see it. And then when I look at it, your average technical underwriter will see a technology, and then they'll go, oh, well, that's not perfect because the sensors and the motors and the power supply, they'll go through this list of things that aren't perfect. I don't even see that. Because I know we're going to fix that. Right. So whatever the list is of things that need to be enhanced, I'll just say that's part of the work. That's why you need the investment and the coaching, is so we can get to doing the business of making this product perfect. So for me, I don't mind little flaws. You show me a prototype, proof of concept, your first produced item. I don't even care if it's not perfect. I care if the idea is going to work. Do the physics support it? And will customers buy it?
I didn't anticipate that conversation. It's hard to cram
That was
everything
awesome.
in. No, that's good. That's great.
Yeah,
It's
let's
also
get back to
another. Well, no, that's good. That's good too. The Chang Fund, where you're investing, why you make these decisions, which all goes back to risk taking.
But that's why people asking you for money is good. And it's the same with ministry. We have more than a dozen ministry partners that Chang Robotics tithes into, and it's the same thing. I'm going to go where you are with your ministry, and I'm going to see it.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Where have you gone for ministries?
We have gone to Charlotte. We've gone all over Jacksonville. We've gone to Montana. We've gone to Pittsburgh. We've gone to Uganda. We've gone to Haiti. So we have gone to Costa Rica. So we will go where the ministry is.
But you're going first to check it out before.
No. If a nonprofit executive director or founder has a great idea, and I meet the person, I'll write the first check. I'm going to get in. I'm not going to waste their time.
Yeah.
And then after I've gotten in, if they want to continue that partnership, they're going to find a way for me to come see it personally. And then that's when it becomes an annual thing.
Again, didn't know that. It's good to learn that. Okay, back to the book. Definitely the book now. For sure, the book. Oh, by the way, are you a Jacksonville Jaguar fan? No,
I am.
I'm not going to go on that. I'm not opening that
Risk-taking.
cam. Why is risk-taking biblical?
Because Jesus commanded it. That's why. So the book, the cornerstone text of the book is the parable of the talents, and based in the book of Matthew. So in the parable of the talents, let me just unpack that real quick so we get the foundation of the book. This all started when my pastor, Joby Martin at the Church of 1122,
Shout
Joby.
out.
he told all of us in the church that he wants 1122 to be a 5-talent church. And my mind exploded. That you get to choose which talent you are. So for those unfamiliar, it's a parable told by
This is
Jesus.
gold, by the way.
And Jesus tells a story about a master who has 3 servants. The master's going to go away. While he's away, he's going to entrust the servants with a part of his fortune. And in the day, those were called talents. Now, talents were an enormous sum of money. Just picture like your whole annual salary being placed on the table in front of you. And so he was going to give them some talents while he left. And it's funny, in today's English, they're called talents, right?
Yeah.
So he gave the first servant 1 talent, the second servant 2 talents, and the third servant he gave 5 talents.
Okay.
And you think, whoa, pause frame. Why is it unequal distribution? Well, we watch the Jaguars. We watch the NFL. Talents are not equally distributed.
Not right now, they're not.
Look at if you go to money and look at wealth, it is not equally distributed. We're all given different portions, but we're called to the same action, which is an action of stewardship. So in the parable, the first servant with 1 talent, he's fearful. He's got this big pile of money in his hands. And he doesn't want to lose it because he doesn't want to disappoint his master. So he goes to the backyard and he buries it to keep it safe. And he puts it in a secret place. Second servant and the third servant, the 2 and 5 portion servants, they do a different action. They go, what the scripture tells us, they go at once to the marketplace and they wager it all. Depending on the text, it might say invest it all. They go at once. And so as we unpack this, a couple things. If you desire to have more, in life, then you need to show that you're willing to be obedient so that you can move from certainly a 1 talent to a 2 talent to a 5 talent. At Chang Robotics, we want to be a 5 talent organization. And that means we have to be trustworthy in our stewardship. When we are given something, it is our job to go at once into the marketplace and to invest it. Now, it's not our money. It's on loan from the master. That's what the text teaches. The master comes back, and then he calls up the servants, and he says, what have you done with my money? The first servant that buried it, he says, oh, master, I knew you were harsh. I knew you were scrupulous. I buried it in the backyard to keep it safe for you. See, I give you your 1 talent back. And then in a turn of events, he wasn't rewarded for safeguarding it. He was rebuked and thrown out of the house for being fearful and slothful. So he acted out of fear, and he did nothing with what was given to him, and he was thrown out of the house. There's probably a parallel for heaven in that story. I want to go to heaven. And so the second servant and the third servant, who were given different portions, they crushed it in the marketplace, and they doubled their portions. 2 went to 4, 5 went to 10. And they were rewarded. They gave all of it back to the master and said, here, see, we have doubled your portion. And he praised them and he rewarded them. He took the 1 talent that the fearful servant had, and he distributed it amongst the servants that already had doubled their portion. So now that we've kind of unpacked what the base text is, in business, when we're given certain abilities, human resource, customer opportunities, energy, health,
sales,
I mean, technology, whatever we are given, whatever the
production
talent given to us is, it is our job to go at once. And that's the risk taking, to go at once. Now, you don't have to make the decision in the following 10 seconds if you go at once. You just need to be in motion with your feet, right? That's the go at once part. You know how the old days were. The marketplace and the master's house were not side by side. And how did they get around back then? They walked around in Jesus sandals, right? So I don't know how long the walk was. It could have been 20 minutes or it could have been a half a day's walk to get to the marketplace. But they had time once they were in motion and committed to action to figure out a plan. It also doesn't say that they didn't negotiate when they were in the marketplace. I'm sure they did if they doubled what they had.
Yep.
And it also doesn't say they invested it for a marginal gain. Hey, I'm going to invest this at a 5% interest rate in a U.S. Treasury bond. To me, that is not risk-taking, right? That's the same as burying it in the yard. They went after a strategy of multiplication. As entrepreneurs, we get this. Our job is to multiply. We are to take something that at one time was nothing and to grow it every year in multiples and to trust God that we're going to multiply that. As long as we understand that everything we have was given to us and everything we earn belongs to somebody else, which is God, then we have the right, biblical understanding and grounding to get into the marketplace and conduct extremely risky activities, which is what we do. We are willing to gamble it all because we're being obedient to the Bible, obedient to the parable of the talents. And so the reason I wrote the book is to help people understand, how do you start with what was given to you? Recognize what was given to you. Take inventory of that. A lot of people have not. And then set about a systematic plan so that you are in motion, so that you are going at once, and then you're going to find your marketplace, whether it's ministry, business, political office. Find your marketplace, and then be willing to multiply.
I didn't have anything to add to that.
No, I wanted to ask about the role. So you've obviously taken a bunch of risk. You have a wife, you have a family. What's the role of the wife in the risk taking of all this? Or one, giving them a shout out because they obviously have to kind of be on board with all this.
Shout out to the wives.
Yep.
But do you have any take on that?
Love you, Steph.
Do you have a take on that?
Yeah, totally. My wife is in the book.
Oh, shout out.
As an
Nice.
example, we had a little couples disagreement as men of our age do.
No.
What?
And she didn't want to be in the book. She couldn't imagine how I would portray her that she would like it, right? And so, I had to make the risky decision to assure her all the way through, you're not in the book. You're not even in there. Well, okay, come on. How am I going to write a book without my wife
he's
being
in
in
there.
it? Come on. Come on. She didn't know she was in it until I got the proof copy at my house. My wife's an excellent proofreader. She's like strict on grammar.
Yeah.
Engineer brain can't fix words. And
We
so
don't
she
we don't
was
word
reading
we don't
it,
word so good.
and she started crying, and she goes, "You put me in the book." I'm like, "Of course I put you in the book, but you said you didn't." Well, of course I told you that because I didn't want to have a fight the whole time I was writing it. So she read it, and then I've had several people reach out and say, "I love the way you portrayed your wife in here." She had an absolutely critical role in me founding my business. She was the first person to encourage me, and I tell that story in there. And then she's the person that has to be on board with the risk. I'm not saying she likes it, right? There are times when I do things, she goes, "What happens if we lose everything?" Well, if God holds this world in his hands, he tilts the world on its axis and he sets the seasons, he's got this business too, right? And so we just have to trust him. That's the faith part of going at once.
Who needs to order this book? I would say business owners, entrepreneurs.
Totally. If you're already living a lifestyle where you're thinking about multiplication or you're thinking about kingdom building, definitely read it because you'll pick up some pro tips, you'll get some perspectives. We have 10 amazing mentors of mine that are Jesus following risk takers featured in the book. So it's not just about me, it's not just my words. I give 10 profiles. One of which is Dr. Tammy McClafferty, the executive director of LifeWork Leadership. And so we talk about how these people have done it, and I tell my story. So you get 11 stories in total, along with an engineer brain, very practical tips. I'm not going to leave you without prescriptive actions on what to do next. And it's sequenced so that by the end of chapter 12, you're focused on legacy. In chapter 1, you're focused on figuring out what you can do to take a risk. What I tell some people is you're like a chapter 6 or 7 guy. You need to pick the book up halfway through because you're already on the journey.
Yep.
You just need to know how to get to the end. So then the other category of people is people that tried and failed before. Well, newsflash, we got some entrepreneurs in the room. That's going to happen, right? Failure is a growth opportunity.
Good thing sometimes.
And so just because you failed before doesn't mean you're done. It means you take that and you chalk it up to learning. You figure out what didn't work, and then you get after it again, right? And so those people, I think, really need to read it because failure is totally part of the game. And just because you failed once, congratulations, you get to try again, but you're going to go faster and you're going to be wiser, right? And then the next category is the person that's just got it in their mind. They're probably really comfortable. So this is to the directors and vice presidents out there. You got that salary.
Shout out.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. You're comfortable. You got a bigger idea. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. An example would be a person who has a comfortable job, the director and the vice president. Nice salary. You get some benefits. You get an annual bonus.
I get
right?
20 PTO days a year.
Yeah. Well, you just got the bump because you had 18 before.
That's
Now
right.
you have 20.
That's right.
What is holding that person back from pursuing the ministry objective as a side hustle or as a family opening rental properties or franchises, right? So we provide examples of that. You can have a regular job and be a big contributor at a big company, and you can start a family risk-taking enterprise as a family business, something that your kids can watch you do and your wife can participate in, or your husband if you're the female. And you can do something within the family using the benefit and the stability of your salary, right?
Yeah, that's good. Again, I think mainly because a lot of us are going through it constantly. And then the failures, like the line, there are no losses, there's only lessons. You may lose or fail or feel like you failed, but if nothing else, it's going to teach you a lesson. What's up?
Dude, I failed so hard at my one job in DC. I got fired from one job that then led me into this career path. So
Really?
talk about failing like in the right direction.
Talk about getting fired.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, I tell the story about when I got fired to start my robotics company, right? And we didn't know we were going to be a robotics company on day one. We were going to be an engineering company. Our first 3 customers said, "Come design our robotic systems." So after 1 year, I was like, oh,
This is what we're going to do.
we are a robot company.
Surprise. I'll use this show. This is an accident. We started it 3 years ago. I was like, it'll be fun, but it's turning into something else and a platform to share stories. I'm
Yeah,
like,
totally. You guys are famous.
I think we might have to.
So let me hit the prayer
Yeah,
that I talked about.
absolutely.
You mentioned doors right before the break, so I want to make sure we cover that. In the in the book, I've got a prayer that has been my most powerful business prayer. I call it the open doors and closed doors prayer.
I love this.
The way I think about it, and this, I'm a visual person. I talked about the investing. So I'm standing at the end of a hallway in a big hotel. Could be a Hampton Inn or could be a Marriott. You're at the end of the hallway and you look down the hallway. What do you see? You see the same door on each side as far as the eye can see. As entrepreneurs, we're constantly approached with opportunities. We constantly see little wrinkles in the economy or the marketplace that are an opportunity. Those are the doors. The problem is, as risk takers and entrepreneurs, we don't know which one we're supposed to go into. It's too many. It's limitless opportunities on both sides of the hallway as far as the eye can see. And so what I pray is, dear God, please fasten shut the doors that are not for me. That even if I try and I pound and I want to get in, I cannot get in. You're physically restraining me from going through that opportunity door. And God, for the doors that are for me, for the opportunities that are for me, please open them and give me the boldness and confidence in you to just walk through them. And
I got chills. That is gold. Is this something you say daily, weekly, monthly, or when you see a door?
I would say for the first 3 or 4 years at Chang Robotics, it was an everyday thing.
every 4 or 5 hours.
I got to be honest, I've probably softened on that, and now it's more of a periodic thing because I've gotten a lot more wisdom and discernment, and I also have a bigger team that are doing a lot of these idea explorations for me, a lot of these testing in the marketplace, whether it be a customer, business opportunity, partnership, investment. But yeah, I still do that prayer because I come to these crossroads in business and I think, man, they seem totally different. Which one is for me? Only God knows the future. And so I'm just going to lean into him to tell me what the next step is. I don't need to know the whole plan. Just tell me what the next step is and open that door. And trust me, I've pounded on some doors that I couldn't get in when I thought it was so right for me.
This is the door.
This is it.
Yeah.
I got to have this.
Yep.
I got to have this contract. I got to have this employee. I got to have this partnership, whatever. And it just wasn't for me. And I just couldn't get in with all my might. You and I are probably both very good at sales. And I'm trying to sell something. I'm like, I need this. And it just doesn't work. And it doesn't make sense. You're like, that totally should have worked. That door was fastened shut to prevent me from chasing the wrong thing, right? And to save me in my capacity. I mean, my number one commodity these days is my capacity. I need my capacity to go into the door that is for me and to crush it, right? To give it everything I've got and to be my greatest self, to bring my greatest team, and that together we will just crush whatever the opportunity is. And I've found so often that when I get a hard door slammed in my face, man, like a month later, the perfect one opens up. And the hard part is that 30 days in between when you're feeling
all you're thinking about.
You're feeling
do?
sorry. You're like, how am I even going to do my radio show? This is tough, right? And we've all had those, I'm sure. I don't even need to know the details to know that you've had countless of those as you sit and think about it. So that prayer for me, that open doors and closed doors, is such a good way for people to start to test and to be reliant on God in their prayer life, that if it is for me, you're gonna open the door, God. And I just need to have the obedience and the boldness that these feet are going to move through that door.
What a banger there at the end, as the young kids say, banger. Matt Chang, so many different things. Chang Robotics, the investment. There's so many things to say. Today, you are an author. Risk-taking is biblical. What the Bible tells us about pursuing kingdom building. Matt Chang, that was awesome. That's what the hell just happened.